Good morning, friends. Today, we will be moving on to the topics of plant diversity. Also, बंद करना. Now, so far in fauna, we have covered even the other than covering the animal kingdom in general, vertebrates in general. We have also covered some basic things related to invertebrates. But now we want to focus on plant, forest, and things related to them. Here, first thing that I would want to start with would be the Forest Survey of India's report. Because this report invariably will give you one question every year. This report is called India State of Forest Report. And every year we'll see that one question related to this comes directly or indirectly. So what is this report? As the name says, state of forest. Situation of forest in the country is something that this report discusses. This is a biennial report. Biennial report meaning it would be published once in every 2 years. So the report that we're discussing was published in December 2019. Next report would be coming in December 2021. So for you, this is the report for the preliminary examination that is to be held in October. This is the report that we have to study, that we have to know about. Now, so first of all, you understood this is a biennial report. It will generally be talking about the situation of forest in the country. It is published by Forest Survey of India. Forest Survey of India is one of the national survey organization that was established in 1976, and the 2019 report was 16th report as this publishing was started in 1987. So 1987 में शुरू हुआ है, every 2 years करके till 2019 this was the 16th report. Now Forest Survey of India, other than publishing India State of Forest Report, it also publishes report on inventory of food consumption. So there are two different reports, but just know that this report on inventory on wood consumption is produced by this body. Now there are some other basic information before we get into what is given in the report. Before we talk about the key findings of the report, let's understand some terms which would be used in the report. So first is that forest cover is classified into these categories, like whether a forest is very dense forest or moderately dense forest or open forest. It will depend on the canopy density. And if canopy density is more than 70%, the forest cover would be considered very dense. If the canopy density is more than 40 but is less than 70, it will be considered moderately dense forest. And if the canopy density is between 10% to 40%, then it would be considered the open forest. Okay, so these are the three types of forest cover. So basically understand it in this manner. Let's say this is a forest region, or this is a large area where the tree canopy, you can see, are like this, very highly dense. So if this density is more than 70%, this forest area will be considered very dense forest. If this density is less, let's say the canopy cover looks something like this. And let's say this is roughly 30%. This canopy density is, let's say, 30%. Then this will be considered an open forest. So first understand in Forest Survey of India, understand the meaning of very dense forest, moderately dense forest, and open forest. This is something that you should be clear about. Now, other than this, they also use terms called scrubs or scrubland. Scrubs would be those areas where canopy density will be less than 10%. So basically, scrubs would be those areas where in a large area, there are very few trees, very few canopies. So they are not included in the definition of forest cover. Scrubs, when you look at the area under forest cover, scrubs would not be included. And then there are non-forest areas, land area, where a land not included in any of the above four categories, including water bodies, would be in non-forest. So, Forest Survey of India's State of Forest report has divided the whole country, the land region of the country. I'm not talking about the oceanic marine part, but the land region of the country into very dense forest, moderately dense forest, open forests. These three would be part of the forest cover. Then there are scrubs, there is non-forest areas. Okay, first understand this meanings. इसमें किसी को कोई doubt है? Please let me know. If there is any doubt at all, please use the raise hand feature or please send a chat. Okay, fine. I think there are no doubts. Then let me move to the meaning, the difference between forest cover and recorded forest area. What is forest cover and what is recorded forest area? What is the difference there? Now see, we have understood for you to be, for an area to be included in forest cover, the canopy density should be more than 10%. Now, consider these two regions, these two situations. This is a reserve forest. I'm not saying the whole of the reserve forest is included in forest cover's definition. No. Forest cover ki definition mein all those areas in the country where canopy density is more than 10%. So now in this reserve forest, this part has canopy density of more than 10%. Of more than 10%. This part has canopy density of more than 40%. This part has canopy density of more than 70%. But this part has canopy density of less than 10%. Then, though it is reserve forest, in government documents it is forest. But when we will consider forest cover, only this part. Only this part will be included in the area of forest cover. This part, where canopy density is less than 10%, will not be included in the definition of forest cover. Now, look at another example. Consider this scenario. This is a large area at the back of my house, garden of my house, let's say, and it is huge. Now, is this a forest area according to government documents? No, it's not a forest area according to government documents. But will this be included in the definition of forest cover? If the canopy density here is more than 10%. So, see, this was a reserve forest. The whole of reserve forest is not included in forest cover's definition. Only that part of reserve forest is included in the forest cover's definition, which has canopy density of more than 10%. Similarly, even if your personal land is there, forget about the garden, let's say this is a agricultural field that I have, where I'm growing, I have mango plantations, and thus there are lots of mango trees here. Lots of mango trees here. Lots of mango trees are here with very high canopy density. So this is my agri land. This is my private agri land. Will this be included in the definition of forest cover? Yes. If it has canopy density more than 10%, it will be included in the definition of forest cover. So please understand the differentiation between forest cover and forest area. According to government definition, this is not a recorded forest area. This is not a reserve forest. This is not recorded as forest area by government. Whereas this whole thing which is a reserve forest, let's say, is recorded as forest area. But as per the survey of Forest Survey of India, this whole thing, which was not a forest area, will be included. This whole area, which was not a forest area, will be included in the definition of forest cover. I hope it's clear. Let me see if there are any doubts. No doubts. Nice, nice. Now, so this is what we're trying to say here. And there's one more thing. For being included in forest cover, if you're considering an area to be included in forest cover, that area should be at least 1 acre. Now, you cannot say that, sir, I have a garden, small garden of 100 feet, 100 square feet, and I have 4 trees in those gardens. So canopy density is more than 70%. Will I be included in the definition of forest cover? No, in this case, no. At least the area which is being considered should be 1 acre. So for being included in the forest covers definition, the area which is being considered should be 1 acre, one, and it should have a canopy density of more than 10%. Two. Now, it can be a forest area, it can be an agricultural area, it can be a garden. If you're satisfying these two conditions, one, area is more than 1 hectare. I'm sorry, I was saying acre till now. Area is more than 1 hectare and the canopy density is more than 10%, irrespective of whose land it is. Whether it is reserve forest, whether it's my private garden, whether it is agricultural land, whether it is something else, it will be included in the definition of forest cover. Then what is reserved forest area or forest area, recorded forest area or forest area? Those land areas which on government documents are forest areas. Now, see, Rajasthan government may have declared some desert park as forest area which does not have trees. So it is forest area, but what it is not, it is forest area, but it is not forest cover because there are no trees there. So understand the difference. Understand this key difference. In fact, this image will help you understand it in a bit more. So this whole thing, is, let's say, your forest cover, and this is your forest area. Forest area, the areas which have been declared as this blue one, let's say, let me draw it again. This blue one is your forest area. So now most of the forest area you would see would have canopy cover, but some forest area, this part of the forest area, it doesn't have more than 10% of the canopy cover. So it will not be included in the definition of forest cover. It will not be included in the definition of forest cover. Similarly, if you'll come on this side, this part is not a forest area, but here the canopy density is more than 10%. So it is included in the definition of forest cover. I hope there's a clarity now on the what is considered forest area, what is considered forest cover. Okay, now so this is the first thing that I wanted you people to understand on what is forest area, what is forest cover, so that now we'll talk about kitna percentage forest cover hai India mein. You would understand that we are talking about the areas which have canopy density of more than 10%. We are not talking about just any place. Just like we are not talking about only forest. We may be talking about non-forest areas also in that forest cover. Now, in the Forest Survey of India 2019 report, we had used new technologies also when compared to 2017 situation to get better data. For example, Indian Remote Sensing Satellite Resource SAT-2 in space technology, we have already studied that ResourceSat would be an Earth observation satellite. So using the ResourceSat-2, the Earth observation satellite, using its ortho-rectified LISS data, we do not have to get into the detail of it, but understand that ResourceSat satellite's data was used to uh, do this survey on the forest cover. Now, this report, we'll get into the details of how much percentage is forest cover and all, but this report also has what is known as National Forest Inventory. Uh, this National Forest Inventory is done by Forest Survey of India to understand how many trees are there, to understand what is the stock of standing volume of tree, to understand the soil carbon level, to understand how much of uh, a non-timber forest produces there. To understand all those things, we also do a national forest inventory. We also create a national forest inventory. Then this report for the first time, 2019 report for the first time, is also providing type of forest that we have. Whether it's an evergreen forest, whether it's a moist deciduous forest, whether it's a dry deciduous forest, it's also giving this data. So you must be studying it in NCRTs, but this 2019 report of Forest Survey of India will give you the most advanced or most updated data on the distribution of various types of forests in the country. We'll come to that also. Then this report is also talking about the wetlands within the recorded forest area. It is also giving you data on forest area में जो wetlands हैं, कितने numbers हैं, किस state में कितने हैं, what percentage of area is covered by wetland. It's also talking about that. Okay, and finally, here we also have details related to the fire proneness of forests. Fire proneness, how much area of forest is prone to forest fires and so on. This information has also been provided for the first time. This is based on fire alerts of last 30 years. So these are all the things which are provided in this report. Now we will look at the exact data. The first thing, first is how much of forest and tree cover is there in India in 2019. According to this report, total forest cover in the country is 21.67 percentage of the country's land area, or 7,12,249 square kilometers. What is the total area of India? Total area of India is 3.28 million square kilometers, or 32 lakh. Let me use a different color. 32 lakh square kilometer. Of this 32 lakh square kilometer, roughly 7 lakh square kilometers, or 21%, is the forest cover that we have. Please note, it is forest cover. It is not the protected area. It is not anything else. It is the forest cover that we are talking about. Forest cover in India is 21.7% of the total area. Okay. Forest cover is 21%. Of this forest cover, 3.02% is that of very dense forest. Very dense forest means canopy density of more than 70%. 9.38% is moderately dense forest, and 9.26% is that of open forest. 10% say 40% range. So this is the rough distribution. Almost 20% of India's area is under forest cover. Now, you would know one thing. If a question is asked, which of the following is true about forest cover in India? So moderately dense forests occupy highest area among various types of forest cover areas in the country. That will be true. You'll see that moderately dense forest is slightly more than the open forest in India. So if you look at forest cover throughout the country, which is the type of forest cover that we have the highest, it is the moderately dense forest. The first thing that we have to clearly know that India has 21% of its area, 21.67% of its area under forest cover. All of us know that India's total area is 3.28 million square kilometer or 32 lakh square kilometer. So uska 21%, roughly 7 lakh square kilometer is the area that we have under forest cover. Then you would also see they have given you what is known as tree cover. Now you may be wondering, sir, what is tree cover? Like forest cover may be the tree cover, tha, then what is the separate 2.89% of tree cover? Think of this. A garden at my backyard, which is very small, which is not 1 hectare, but it has tree canopy. It is not included in the definition of forest cover, but tree cover mein aayega. So we have another 2.89% of tree cover in the country. Other than 21.67% of the forest cover, 2.89% of the tree cover is there, and thus total forest and tree cover in India is 24.56% of the total area. Total forest and tree cover. So almost one-fourth of India's area, one-fourth of India's area has tree cover. Well, forest cover maybe roughly we have tree cover, and then rest of the tree cover is less. Now, scrubs, if the canopy density is more than less than 10%, 1.41%. Non-forest area 76.92%. The total 30, अच्छा यहाँ पे लिखा है 32 lakh square kilometer of area that we have. The first finding is this, an important one about state of forest report in India. Now, second thing that you should know is the forest area increasing or decreasing? You should know that it's increasing. In India, forest cover is increasing. It has increased by 0.56% or it has increased by 1212 square kilometers. Almost 1.29% of the, sorry, we have 0.56% of the increase. So the forest cover has increased by 3976 square kilometer or 0.56%, and tree cover has increased by 1212 square kilometer or 1.29. So both forest cover and tree cover are increasing when compared to 2017 data. The data that was published in 2019 show increase in forest cover, but you would see that forest cover in recorded forest area. Understand this. Government has declared, okay, that area is forest. Forest cover in recorded forest area is going down. What is happening is our forest cover is increasing because a lot of non-forest area, for example, agricultural land पे हम quinoas उगा रहे हैं. Plantations are increasing. So overall forest cover is increasing. But recorded forest area में greenwash area like you would see the evergreen forest, like completely green area, those are going down. I hope you are understanding this. Okay, so forest cover in recorded forest area, greenwash have shown a slight decrease, whereas there's an increase of 4306 square kilometer of forest cover outside recorded forest area or greenwash area. Niharika is asking, sir, what is recorded forest area? Better, recorded forest areas are all those areas which government has declared as forest. It can be reserved forest, it could be other forms of forest, जो government declares as forest. Now that whole of recorded forest area may not be under forest cover. Some part of it may be under forest cover, some part of the forest area which has less than 10% of canopy density will not be considered forest. Okay, now important part. Top five states in terms of increase in forest cover. Which are the states where highest increase in forest cover has taken place? It's Karnataka, which has seen a 1,000 square kilometer area of increase. Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, JNK, and Himachal Pradesh. This is the order. सबसे ज्यादा forest increase in India has taken place in Karnataka. One important. Second, top five states in terms of total forest cover. A question on this was asked in prelims 2019. Which is the state with highest forest area? Or actually, you had to arrange states in terms of their forest areas. So you should know which are the top five states in terms of total forest area. It is Madhya Pradesh, Arunachal, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, and Maharashtra. I remember it as like this: Macho Maharashtra. आज प्रवीण खुश होगा. प्रवीण महाराष्ट्र की थोड़ी तारीफ करते तो प्रवीण खुश होता है. तो माचो महाराष्ट्र, that is Madhya Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, and Maharashtra. Now, there's a common sense also to understand this. Madhya Pradesh is one of the largest states in India. Like now, Rajasthan is the largest state, but please understand, Rajasthan में बहुत desert है, forest नहीं है. So Madhya Pradesh is the largest state. The chances that it would have more area under forest cover, percentage-wise, it would not have highest area under forest cover. But total forest area under, when you look at it, you would see Madhya Pradesh has highest. Arunachal Pradesh has a large percentage of its area under forest cover. And among northeastern states, it is also among the larger states. Because of that, it has total area under forest cover also very high. Chhattisgarh, Odisha, we know a lot of tribal regions are there. उससे समझ सकते हो. Same with Maharashtra. Maharashtra has large area as well as a lot of forest areas as well. So for all these reasons, this Madhya Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, and Maharashtra, very important. This is something that was asked in prelims 2019. Okay, Soumya has raised hand. Soumya ji, bataiye. What do you want to ask?
Good morning, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, Soumya, you're audible. Good
Sir,
morning.
regarding the tree cover, you said that the area less than 1 hectare will be considered as tree cover. So, do we take canopy into account? Like, should it be greater than 10% as well to
No,
be
beta,
included?
yes, no. Even if it's less than 10%, even if it's less than 10%, only that canopy area would be included in tree cover.
Then scrubs, I mean, like that can be included in scrubs also, no? If it is less than 10%.
No,
So,
please understand this. Uh, Scrubs would be wastelands,
okay.
more than 1 hectare in size and so on. Whereas, आपके घर के पीछे जो garden होगा, which is less than 1 hectare, but still has trees, be it less than 10%, be it more than 10%, those would go in tree cover. And only the canopy area, not the whole area. When we were considering scrubs, we were considering the whole area.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sir, got
Okay.
it. Thank you.
So, anyways, come back to this. Top five states in terms of total forest cover is this. Now, top five states in terms of area under forest cover. That is forest density, percentage of area under forest cover. This is also important to know. Now, look at these. Lakshadweep, Mizoram, Andaman and Nicobar Island, Arunachal, Meghalaya, Manipur, Nagaland. Now, how do you remember it? Generally, I say revise it 2-3 times. Use your common sense. You'll be able to remember it. But जैसे यहाँ पे आपने याद रख लिया था कि माचो महाराष्ट्र, यहाँ पे कैसे याद रखें? हाँ, I had developed a mnemonic yesterday. हाँ, Lucky Ma'am, Money Land. So Lucky Ma'am got Money Land. Lucky Lakshadweep, Ma'am Mizoram, Arunachal, Andaman and Nicobar, Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, and Ma'am se wo ho gaya, and Maniland, Manipur, and Nagaland. This is how you can keep it in mind. Otherwise, you can create your own mnemonics. I generally do not prefer these things. मैं 2-3 बार रिवाइज करता हूं, मुझे याद रहता है. कोशिश करो वो. Otherwise, you can remember it like this. Generally, Lakshadweep is very isolated. Almost all of its area is under forest cover. Andaman and Nicobar also has a large area under forest cover. But northeast में मिजोरम आ जाता है. Remember this. So Lakshadweep, Mizoram, Andaman and Nicobar. These three would become important. Then you can go Arunachal, Meghalaya, Manipur, and Nagaland in this order. There are some charts. Density of forest was asked. हाँ ठीक है, जो भी पूछा. I'm saying कि on this topics questions were asked. Sir, repeat the mnemonic please. ये लक्षद्वीप को लकी, मिजोरम, अंडमान, अरुणाचल, मेघालय, मैम. Got money land. Manipur, Nagaland. Okay. तो I'm sorry, I'm not good at these tricks and all, but ऐसे आप याद रख सकते हैं कि माचो महाराष्ट्र, लकी मैम, got money land. तो मणिपुर, नागालैंड. But again, you will have to use your common sense. Now you would say कि sir मैम में why is M? मिजोरम, why not मध्य प्रदेश? Because forest density मध्य प्रदेश में नहीं हो गया ज्यादा. Right? In fact, Mizoram is so important that in Mizoram you would see its forest density is higher than Andaman and Nicobar also. You should know this. Mizoram is that important in terms of forest cover. Okay, here you will see Arunachal has very high forest cover. This will help you understand why. In terms of total area, Arunachal's area is also large and its forest density is also high. And therefore, in terms of total area under forest cover, we have Madhya Pradesh and then Arunachal. Macho Maharashtra में वहां पे वो हो रहा है. A was Arunachal. Fine. So I hope you have understood two things. You remember very carefully: the states order in terms of forest cover and states order in terms of density. Then also know these things. At least remember this, that which is the state where highest increase has taken place? It's Karnataka. Karnataka has had more than 1000 square kilometers of increase in terms of total forest cover. ये तीन चीजें याद रख लोगे? Now, let me see, कुछ doubt है क्या? नहीं, there are no doubts. Now, let's go to some more data are there. Necessarily हमें याद नहीं रखना, but read it once to get more clarity or to have a better understanding. Forest cover in hill districts is 40%. Now you would understand the reason. Generally, hill district would have more forests and thus, in general, more forest cover than India's average. What is India's average? Around 23-24%. But here, 40%. There are 140 hill districts in the country. There we have total 40.3% of the forest cover. Plus, the current assessment has shown an increase in the forest cover in the hill district. Second, in tribal districts, forest cover is 37.5%. Again, higher than the national average. Northeast India mein total forest cover is 65.05%. In fact, if you remove Assam, they have amazingly good forest cover. Now come to mangrove covers. Even mangrove cover, as per this report, has increased in the country. But more important than increase in mangrove cover, what we need to know is state-wise distribution of mangroves in India. Which is the state which has highest mangrove distribution in India? You would close your eyes and say West Bengal. Sundarbans are there. So West Bengal has the highest mangrove cover in India. After that comes Gujarat. This is important. So here we have almost 40% of India's mangrove. Almost 40% of India's mangrove is in West Bengal. But you would see that Gujarat also has 23%. Gujarat is the state with longest coastline in India. तो उससे ये समझो. Then we have Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra and Odisha. तो ममता दीदी ने मोदी जी को इलेक्शन में हराया है. West Bengal has more coverage than Gujarat, but बाकी Andaman and Nicobar Island in general is known for this. Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra and Odisha. This is the order that you should know. This is the order that you should in general know for your preliminary examination. If you are asked to arrange states in terms of mangrove cover, at least if you remember, yes, West Bengal has the highest and Gujarat has the second highest. You'll be able to eliminate some option. Even if you cannot remember everything else, knowing these two things would also be good. Guessing Gujarat sometimes becomes difficult. People generally guess Odisha or Andhra Pradesh. So knowing this is important. West Bengal, Gujarat, then Andaman and Nicobar. ये तीन तो कम से कम याद रखना. It will help you somehow if a question related to these kind of things is asked in the examination. Now, I remember a few days back, some student had messaged me some student had messaged on the WhatsApp group that we have or on Telegram group. He said, NCERT has old data. Should we go for that data? Not necessarily. See, most of the time, data are getting updated in the current affairs notes that we have. So here, data is getting updated. Use this data. NCERT may have some other data, some different data. Now, here I have also included one basic paragraph regarding why mangroves are important. So you would see that there are a number of reasons. First, mangroves have a complex system of roots which reduce the flow of waves. So tsunami kind of situation may it reduce the flow of water, the speed of water that reaches land. So it is beneficial in that sense. So it's very efficient in dissipating the sea wave energy, thus protecting the coastal area from tsunamis, storm surges, etc. Then mangrove roots also slow down water flows and enhance sediment deposition. जब river से पानी जा रहा होगा, तो these mangrove roots will slow down the flow of water and will make the sediments get deposited, and thus it helps in land accretion. It increases the land area. Sediment deposit करवा रहा है, तो land accretion में help करेगा. Then they're also fertile breeding ground for fish species. They act as important source of livelihood for coastal communities, and they are also important carbon sink. So mangrove cover increasing in the country is a good sign. Highest mangrove cover in India is there in Sundarbans, then in Gujarat, then in Andaman and Nicobar Islands, then Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh and Odisha, baki jagah aati. But remember the first three very carefully. And it's easy to, now I think we have repeated 3-4 times. West Bengal, Gujarat, Andaman and Nicobar. Even if you remember these three, that would be okay. If you can remember that uske baad Maharashtra, sorry, uske baad Andhra Pradesh aayega, फिर Maharashtra aayega और फिर Odisha aayega, that would be great. But even if you remember the first three, that would be okay. Similarly, total bamboo bearing areas in the country have seen an increase. Total bamboo bearing areas in the country have seen an increase. Data वगैरह याद रखने की जरूरत नहीं है. Now come to, हमने बोला ना forest inventory भी create हो रहा है. So they have also the Forest Survey of India, the State of Forest report also is talking about the total growing stock of wood. It says that there are 5.9 billion wood stock in India. Of that, 4.2 billion is inside the forest and 1.6 billion is outside the recorded forest area. So total wood stock that we have. Total carbon stock in this wood, in this whole wood stock is 7.1 billion tons. Of that, of this 7.1 billion ton, you will see soil organic carbon of around 4 billion ton is 56% of the total forest carbon stock that we have. So more than the carbon stock that we have in our trees, we have carbon stock in our soil. 56% of the carbon stocks are there in our soil. Total carbon stock that India has is 7.1 billion tons. Of that, 4 billion tons is there in the soils. Fine. I hope इस पे भी clarity है. You are understanding this. Now, wetlands, we were saying in the beginning that the state of forest report is this time have also spoken about wetlands. So 3.83% of area under the reserve forest areas or the greenwash areas are under wetlands. Total number of wetlands are around 8.13%. Total number of wetlands within reserve forest area is the 8.3% of the total number of wetlands that we have in the country. Please note that wetlands would there be outside forest areas also. So within forest area, we have around 8.13% of the total number of wetlands that we have throughout the country. Within forest area की जब बात कर रहे हैं, तो Gujarat has the highest area under wetland within RFA, followed by West Bengal. Within forest area, otherwise nahi. Otherwise, other state may be having larger number of wetlands, but within forest area, it has highest number of wetlands. Okay, then there's one more data, fire-prone forest area of different severity classes. And here you would see that according to this report, 21.4% of forest cover of the country is highly to extremely prone to fire. 21% is highly or extremely prone to fire. A lot of forest area is prone to fire, but 21% is highly or extremely. Now, here we also have, this report have also talked about forest cover along Ganga River. And if you look at forest cover along Ganga River, then Uttarakhand has highest forest cover along Ganga River, followed by West Bengal. But very less area is there in Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand. सबसे कम बिहार में. Ganga के along there are lots of settlements. Forests are very less. Okay. Now the last and final thing about this Forest Survey of India report: different types of forests that we have in the country and their distribution. This is again the latest data you have. In NCERT, you must be having this data, which may be slightly outdated. This is the latest data we have. Which is the forest type which is most common in India? Tropical dry deciduous. 40% of India's forest is tropical dry deciduous. Then we have tropical moist deciduous, which is 17%, and tropical semi-evergreen आएगा क्या इसके बाद? Yes, tropical semi-evergreen forest, which is 9.27%. We also have 8% of plantations, which is again, we can consider it a type of forest cover. Okay, but in general, know that tropical dry deciduous forests are the most common types of forests that we have in the country. Fine. So with this, we are done with the state of forest report. I'm assuring you this last 1 hour and whatever you have studied in last 1 hour, you'll get one question at least. वो चाहे forest cover पे हो, चाहे वो type of forest पे हो, उनके distribution पे हो. It may be about forest density. It may be about how much India's area is prone to this. It may be about mangrove cover. But generally, you would be able to solve one question from this report. And that's why I tend to cover it in more detail. I've tried to include all the relevant things for preliminary examination in your notes only. You need not to go. You do not need to go to the report. Okay. Now, let's move on to other aspects of plant biodiversity that we wanted to cover. अभी तक जितना पढ़ा है, I hope there is complete clarity on that. Now, recently, some schemes, some programs have been launched to start increase the forest cover in the country. One such initiative was a pilot project to restore degraded forest landscape. It was launched in July 2020. Degraded forest landscape. What is this? Forest area which has been degraded, where forest cover has decreased, or where forest area which is not under forest cover, just scrubs ban gaye, or there may be other forms of degradation also. But this scheme is focused on restoring degraded forest landscape. So July 2020 में scheme launch हुआ है, where India is focusing on 5 states in next 42 months. So what is this project? How are we planning to take care of, to restore the degraded forest area? So under this project, two broad things are being done. One, there is focus on developing and adapting best practices for sustainable land management. So her state may, the 5 states which are being covered, their forest department and local communities would be trained. And second, monitoring protocols would also be created to combat desertification. Where the degradation is increasing, which are the areas where plantation is going up, afforestation is going up, that monitoring mechanism would also be developed. Now, which is the in first phase for the next 42 months, which are the states which have been covered? Haryana, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Nagaland and Karnataka. The correlation कोई बहुत ज़्यादा strong नहीं है कि why these states were chosen, but these are the 5 states with which we are starting this project. Now, please note that this project is part of our Born Challenge pledge. So first, let's understand what is Born Challenge. Then we'll come to what is India's Born Challenge commitment, Born Challenge pledge, and what are we trying to do. So Born Challenge was a global effort that was launched in it was launched in 2011 with the goal of bringing 150 million hectares of world's degraded, deforested area into restoration by 2020 and 350 million hectares by 2030. So basically, Born Challenge ye hai that by 2030 bring 350 million hectares. India's total area is 320 million hectares. 3.28 million square kilometer का मतलब 320 million hectares. So globally, India का जितना area है, utna area should be restored to forest. Around 350 million hectares should be restored by 2030. This is the Born Challenge. It was initially started by Germany and IUCN, but later during the 2014 UN Climate Summit, this was extended by the New York Declaration on Forests throughout the globe. Now, signatories of UNFCCC, they are working towards ensuring that these steps are taken throughout the world. Target is 350 million hectares of land which have been degraded should be reforested. Okay, under this forest landscape restoration approach is being followed. So forest landscape restoration approach basically is not only about कि हम और पेड़ लगा देंगे. The whole landscape has to be restored. That approach is being followed, and it is expected that $84 billion a year would be the benefits. If we restore 150 million hectares of degraded forest, then it will create approximately $84 billion in a year. So itna zyada financial benefit bhi dikh raha hai. This is Born Challenge. As part of Born Challenge, India has targeted that by 2020 we will restore 13 million hectares of forest area, and by 2030 another 8 billion. The total target is 23 million. 13 plus 8, no, 21 million. 13 plus 8 is 21 million. So 21 million hectares of area India is planning to restore, and as part of for implementing this, recently we started this project in 5 states, where in next 42 months in these 5 states in next 42 months will be working towards forest landscape restoration. तो देखो बॉर्न चैलेंज क्या है, बॉर्न चैलेंज प्लज क्या है, न्यूयॉर्क डिक्लेरेशन ऑफ क्लाइमेट चेंज समिट क्या है, इस तरह की चीजें फॉर प्रिलिमिनरी एग्जामिनेशन यू शुड नो अबाउट. इट हैज बीन इन न्यूज रिसेंटली अभी, so there is more chance of these getting asked in the examination. Now, let's go to some newly discovered plant species. पिछले एक साल में which are the plant species which have been discovered. Again, now we are coming to the factual part. थोड़ा सा जल्दी जल्दी करेंगे, ठीक है. First is Cremathodium indicum. This is a alpine plant species which has been discovered in Arunachal Pradesh. Cremathodium indicum. Look at the name. It was discovered in February 2021. Now, it's a sunflower. It's a Himalayan sunflower species and is endemic to Tawang. Endemic to Penga Tengso Lake of Tawang district, where it was discovered. तो सिर्फ एक जगह मिल रहा है. It has also been given critically endangered IUCN status. Cremathodium indicum, a new alpine plant species from Arunachal Pradesh, from Tawang Lake, a critically endangered species. Parul is asking, has government achieved 13 million hectare target by the end of 2020? पागल हो क्या? हम टारगेट सेट करते हैं, अचीव नहीं करते हैं. No, we haven't achieved the target. Kushagra is asking, sir, no mangrove in Lakshadweep. See, mangrove होंगे, थोड़े बहुत होंगे. Like no is an extreme state, but it is not as large as they are in other states. Sir, wetlands and mangrove में difference एक बार explain कर दीजिए. बेटा, see, wetland is any area like जहां पे जैसे lake है, river है, coastal areas हैं, they're all wetlands. So if you'll go to the technical definition, then all those areas where water depth is not more than 9 meters would be considered wetland. There are many different definitions. ऐसे अलग-अलग definitions होते हैं. So lakes, rivers, and all those are wetlands. Whereas mangrove is a type of plant, is a type of tree. तो जहां पे उस तरह के plants होते हैं, उन्हें हम mangrove areas बोलते हैं. Okay, just Google mangrove once, you'll understand कि mangrove trees, mangrove plants हम किन्हें बोलते हैं. Ayushi Rajput is asking, sir, degraded forest comes under forest cover? Beta, see, if degraded forest ka canopy is less than 10%, then it's not forest cover. Forest cover ka ek hi simple rule hai, canopy should be more than 10%. Area should be more than 1 hectare, that is another rule, but in simple, if canopy. Now see, suppose there was a forest area, Ayushi has asked this. Ayushi, suppose this. Suppose there was a jungle in a tribal area which had 90% canopy cover. Now, because of deforestation and all, its canopy cover has reduced to 40%. Its canopy, it has degraded. Yes, it has degraded. But is it included in the forest cover? Yes, it will be included in forest cover because even now canopy cover is more than 10%. I hope you've understood it, Ayushi. Okay, now let's go to so we have looked at the species 2021 में discuss हुआ. देखो ज्यादा कुछ नहीं है. कहाँ discover हुआ? That is something that you have to know. Critically endangered है, that's okay. This is completely factual. All the understanding वाला चीज we have done. Now come to Ischemum janarthnami, a new species of moraine grass which has been found in Western Ghats. It was found in December. It was in news in December 2020. So, देखो, moraine grass is a important grass for India, both in economic sense as well as in ecological sense. In fact, of the 85 species of moraine grass or this Ischemum, 61 species are exclusively found in India. Of the 85 species, 61 are exclusively found in India. The Western Ghats themselves have 40 species with highest concentration of this genes. तो दिस मोरेन ग्रास टाइप ही है ना, वो सबसे ज्यादा वर्ल्ड में इंडिया में मिलता है, और इंडिया में भी सबसे ज्यादा वेस्टर्न घाट में मिलता है. तो वहां पे एक और ग्रास इस शेमम, द जीनस नेम जनार्थन नामी has been found by Agarkar Research Institute, Pune, an autonomous institution. It was exploring it, they have found it. And they have named it after Professor M.K. Janardhan, who was a professor at Goa University because of his contribution towards grass taxonomy. Now, this grass species has been found to grow on low altitude lateritic plateaus in the outskirts of Bhagwan Mahavir National Park. This is the area which faces extreme climatic conditions like drier months, soil with low nutrient availability, and so on. But even then, this grass has been found. It shows that it has adapted. The species, this particular species, has adapted to survive these difficult circumstances. Okay, so a new species of moraine grass has been found in Western Ghats. In Goa, in Bhagwan Mahavir National Park, at the outskirts of Bhagwan Mahavir National Park in Goa. Now, in May 2020, 3 new plant species were found in Western Ghats. Eugenia sphaecarpa, very complicated naam hai, Goniothelmus sericeus, Memsilon nervosum. All factual, इसमें कुछ भी वैसा नहीं है कि हम समझेंगे, याद करेंगे, but at least read them once. Just read them once. News में था, you'll have a sense of completion. You'll have a sense of कि हाँ, मुझे वो चीजें आती हैं. But very less important for exam. I'm doing this section specifically so that you do not come to me and say कि सर आपने ये टॉपिक नहीं करवाया. Okay, now come to exotic or alien plant species. Please note, I'm talking about exotic or alien. I'm not saying these are invasive. Like all exotic species are not invasive. Understand this. For invasive होने के लिए सबसे पहले आपको exotic होना पड़ेगा, फिर आपको naturalize होना पड़ेगा, and then you'll have to impact the biodiversity of local area negatively. Then you become invasive. So for now, exotic plant species. So in 2018, a study was published in Biological Invasions, and it showed that 471 plant species in India have become naturalized. Naturalized हो रहे मतलब बाहर वाले हैं. Now you remember the citizenship में एक naturalization वाला provision है. So if you are a person of Indian origin, you can get citizenship by registration. You do not have to get naturalized. But if you are a foreigner, if you are a person of Indian origin and you took, let's say, citizenship of USA, but now you want to get back citizenship of India, you can get it by naturalization. Registration. But if you are a American origin person, you'll have to get naturalized first, and you'll get citizenship by naturalization. So coming back to that, I got diverted a bit on this topic. What we're saying, according to the study, there were 471 plant species which were alien or exotic in India and have become naturalized. Now, we already know the difference between naturalized, invasive, and all. I'll not get into that. Some naturalized species include common guava. Common guava, amrud. It's a exotic species. It's an alien species, and which has become naturalized. But is common guava invasive? No, it's not invasive. Think of this common guava invasive होता, हर जगह उग रहा होता, सारे resources consume कर रहा होता, हम भी अमरूद ही अमरूद खा रहे होते. Right? That's not true. It's not invasive. It is alien. It has become naturalized. But there are a lot of invasive species also. Lantana camara, Siam vid, Pridex, Daisy, Mimosa pudica, Proposis juliflora, Paranthenium hysterophorus. We will study all these things in greater detail. Don't worry. These are all invasive naturalized exotic alien species. तो exotic alien तो है ही, naturalized भी है, invasive भी है. Common guava is an example of alien, naturalized, but not invasive. Now, of these species, we said that according to this study, there are 471 plant species in India which have become naturalized. Of these, 331 are found in Tamil Nadu. In Kerala, we have 290. These are the states with highest number of alien species. The state or union territory with least number of alien species, naturalized alien species in India is Lakshadweep. It only has 17 exotic naturalized plant species. And of these alien species, naturalized alien species, there are 110 which occur in more than 31 states in India. So of these 340 plus naturalized species that we have, 110 are those which occur in more than 30 states in India. It is again showing you how invasion may be one of the concerns in coming future. इसे ऐसे समझो कि a lot of Chinese people are getting settled throughout the country. तो हम worried होंगे ना in future they may become invasive, they may start consuming more resources and all. Same is the scenario here. So these were naturalized species. But now let's look at invasive species, some invasive plant species in more detail. Questions on these have also been asked very recently in examinations. Let us understand this. Invasive plant species in India. And the first thing that we want to start with is Proposis juliflora. Proposis juliflora, we discussed it while discussing the wild ass. When we were discussing mammals, in mammals, when we were talking about the vulnerable mammals, there we spoke about the wild ass. And we said that one of the problems that wild ass is facing is invasion of this plant, Proposis juliflora. So Proposis juliflora is a thorny plant. It is also known as Angrezi babool or Vilaiti babool. In Tamil Nadu, it's known as Simai Karuvelam. So you know about babool tree. Babool, an indigenous tree of India. But this is Angrezi babool or Vilaiti babool or Proposis juliflora. Now, it's a shrub of small tree which was native to South America, Mexico, and Caribbean. Now, it became an invasive weed in Africa, Asia, and Australia. In India, now it's distributed throughout the country. So now, initially, now today it is considered a threat for biodiversity. It's a big threat for biodiversity because it is something which is very water greedy and thus will consume all the water from land. It would not leave water for others. Plus, this is a tree which cannot be consumed by animals. So other trees are not able to survive. It is not eatable. So animals are also dying. Animals are also facing problems. In fact, in 2004, it was rated as one of the world's top 100 least wanted species. Top 100 least wanted species के जहां पे जाता है वहां problem create करता है. It's an invasive species. But you would be surprised to know that in 1960s, it was intentionally brought in the sense it was considered boon. The government of Tamil Nadu, it used helicopter to ensure the distribution of this seedlings of this plant throughout that region. Because in the dry region, no other plant was able to grow and survive. It was this Proposis juliflora which was able to grow and survive, and thus was able to provide a firewood. The firewood shortage that India was going through 1960, it helped. Further, it could be used to erect fences around agricultural fields and thus protected agricultural fields. But over the years, it has become a very invasive species and has started impacted biodiversity of India. So it is affecting the wild ass population in Kutch, Gujarat. This is something that we have already seen. Then black mimosa. Black mimosa is another invasive species in India. It's also a shrub. It's an invasive shrub and It's also listed as one of the world's 100 worst invasive species. In India, it's found throughout the country, and still or slow floating water में बहुत ज्यादा मिलता है, where it has become a nuisance for other things in aquatic ecosystem. Then we have carrot grass or Parathenium hysterophorus. You must have seen this plant around you. You must have seen this carrot grass ka plant. Look at this image. Because I remember in my childhood, I had seen this around me a lot. Now, this carrot grass, जब भी मानसून आ रहा होगा ना, बारिश वारिश होगी, you would see it will start growing. This particular shrub would start growing in the region, and thus would consume the resources which should have been available for other species in the ecosystem. This is called carrot grass or gajar घास also, because इसके leaves वगैरह देखोगे तो थोड़े से carrot के leaves के जैसे दिख रहे होते हैं. Now, this plant also produces an allopathic chemical that suppress crop and pasture plants and allergens that affect humans and livestock, and thus दूसरों को damage कर रहे हैं. Finally, it was in news recently because all 4 of Assam's rhino reserve are facing, Kaziranga, Orang, Tobitaro, and Manas are facing problems because of a lot of invasion by this carrot grass. Then another species, another invasive plant species that we have is Lantana camara. Now, it's also known as big sage or wild sage or tickberry, which came from South America, Central America, and it reduces biodiversity. How does it reduces? How does Lantana camara reduce biodiversity? It outcompetes more desirable species by consuming resources and thus reduces biodiversity. It impacts agriculture negatively because it is toxic for livestock, as well as it has ability to form very dense thickets, which hampers productivity of farmland. So agricultural production भी hamper कर देता है because it grows itself, and then it is something that is not even eatable by animals and thus becomes problem. So Lantana camara is one thing. Then Siam weed or communist pacha. This species is called communist pacha because the way in 1950s Communist Party suddenly grew in Kerala, no. In the same way, this weed also in 1950s covered Kerala like anything. It is native to South America, but is invasive in India. Then Senna spectabilis, ये भी एक legume family का species है, which is invasive species in India, and it has become threat to wildlife. बहुत detail में जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. Just remember the names. Even that would be okay. In 2018 preliminary examination, there was a question asked, Propolis juliflora इनमें से किससे related है? And one of the option was biodiversity. So if you had just known that Propolis juliflora is an invasive plant species, that was enough for solving those questions. Lantana camara or Congress grass or communist pacha or carrot grass. These names you should slightly know about in terms for your overall preparation. Then come to parasitic plants. Now, what are parasitic plants? What are parasites? Parasites जो दूसरों का food consume कर रहे हैं. Those are parasitic plants. Okay, so there are, most of the plant species have chlorophyll. They make their own food. But there are some plant species which do not have chlorophyll or have less chlorophyll. And thus they have to depend on other plants for manufacture of their food. Thus they get their energy from other plants. Those are known as parasitic plants. I hope you understand. Please differentiate it from carnivorous plants. Carnivorous plants would be those plants which will eat insects and all. But they will also have their own energy, like using sunshine, they will generate their own carbohydrate and all. Parasitic plants में वो case नहीं है. Parasitic plants lack chlorophyll. So Some examples of parasitic plants are Glidovia coniacianorum. It was discovered in Nagaland recently, and it's a hollow parasite. That is a complete parasite. It does not have chlorophyll. It it has no chlorophyll. कईयों में होता है थोड़ा chlorophyll होता है तो they are able to make some of their food and they have to depend on other. But this is a hollow parasite that is complete parasite. It doesn't have any chlorophyll and it survives on feeding on another species of plant that has chlorophyll. It has been named Coniacianorum in the honor of Konyak tribe of Nagaland, which is found in this region. Then Orbanke cernua or broom rat or broom rape. It's a parasitic weed that is affecting tobacco cultivation. This weed also completely lacks chlorophyll and is totally dependent on plants for nutrients. So boomrate seeds remain dormant, but they will germinate by certain compounds produced by living plant roots. जैसे tobacco plants के roots जब कुछ chemicals release करते हैं, then they also germinate, and it has become a major concern, major problem for tobacco cultivators in India. In India, tobacco is something that is suffering because of Orbanke cernua, but in other countries, other crops like tomato, eggplant, potato, cabbage, soleus, bell pepper, sunflower, celery, these are all suffering. Then, please note, there are some parasites are differentiated as stem and root parasites. Stem and root parasites का मतलब parasites that will depend on stem part of other plants or parasites that will be dependent on root part of other plants. So parasites that are dependent on stem parts are stem parasite and root parts are root parasites. So common stem parasites that we have are Loranthus st. They are parasites on mango tree and Cuscuta reflexa, which is also a climber. Then root parasites mein we have Sapria himalayana, which is a rare holoparasitic flowering plant found in Arunachal Pradesh and Meghalaya. Sapria himalayana, root parasite. इसी में आप Orbanke cernua को भी बोल सकते हो, which kind of is a root parasite. Okay, then we have carnivorous or insectivorous plants. Now see, parasites were those plants which did not have chlorophyll. But carnivorous plants are meat eaters. Now you would say, sir, how can plant be meat eaters? Because they will trap insects and they'll get a lot of nutrients from them. Some carnivorous plants are bit more powerful, bit more strong. So they'll not only capture those insects, they may capture small birds or even rats. Now, in which situation carnivorous plants would develop? In situations where less nutrients are available. So they have chlorophyll, they can make their own carbohydrate, but they need other nutrients also, no? So in land areas where less nutrients are available, some plant species have evolved to get their nutrients from animal meat, from insects. So they have chlorophyll. Please note, these would have chlorophyll. They'll make their own food, but a part of their nutrient they will get from other animals. So these are carnivorous plants, or they are also known as insectivorous plants. Now, the carnivorous plants can be divided into two types: active and passive. Active carnivorous plants would be those plants which will actively, like when they have to capture an insect, they would actively move to capture the insect. Whereas passive parasitic plants would be those plants which would perhaps have a, let's say, sticky surface. Now, when they have a sticky surface, an insect goes and gets stuck to it. So plant is not actively doing something to capture the insect. These would be called passive parasites. So active parasitic plants and passive parasitic plants are two kinds of division. For example, parasitic plant बोल दिया मैंने. Active carnivorous or insectivorous plants and passive carnivorous insectivorous plants. These are two different ways of classifying them. Now, active insectivorous use movements to trap the insect. इसमें we have example like Venus flytrap or Utricularia. We'll look at these examples. They use trapping mechanism like leaf traps. Passive parasite, passive insectivorous depends on long tubes with hair that trap prey. For example, you must be knowing about pitcher plant. In pitcher plant, we have a pitcher. The insect will come and fall in it. The rat will come and fall in it. And when this happens, when the insect comes and fall in it, when the rat comes and fall in it, it's not doing anything special to trap it. Its surface is such that it's so smooth, it's difficult to catch and climb up. It's filled with liquid. So eventually, this pitcher is filled with liquid. So eventually, the insect or a small mammal that will fall in it will get digested, will drown, and eventually will get digested. So यहाँ पे you are not doing anything actively. This is passive carnivorous plants or passive insectivorous plants. So this is pitfall mechanism. In India, they are naturally found in, parasitic plants are naturally found in uh, places which are less in nutrients. So they say if you go to Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Garhwal, Himalayas, or West Bengal, naturally they would be found there. But over the years, these have been distributed. For example, pitcher plant log apne garden mein laga rahe hote. So now they are distributed because of this things throughout the country. So now look at this. This is the Nep Nepenthes khasiana or Indian pitcher plant. In like see here I have also given you a video link. If you people were sitting in the classroom, I would have played this video to explain that even a mammal like rat gets trapped in this pitcher plant. In fact, let me play this video here. Okay, let's. ये क्या हो रहा है? This is an advertisement. Let me close this ad. It's like an open-ended stomach. Out in this nourished neighborhood with chilly stock where these Venus flytraps are hungry flesh. So this is an example of Venus flytrap. We are not talking about this. We wanted to have a look at this pitcher plant. Make it too slippery to fall out. So this was a picture. Make it too slippery to fall out. Others are also fighting for their lives. So now, please note that initially the Venus flytrap was there. This Venus flytrap was part of active carnivorous plant. Why would it be active? Because see, the insect comes and it closes itself. They actively closed these leaves. But then passive में आप जाएंगे pitcher plant में. Look. These plants make no attempt to hide in ambush. Once on the lip, the insect is as good as dead. Downward facing hairs prevent a good foothold. The toxic nectar drops them. Deep waxy walls. So here you saw that the insect fell into the pitcher and then actively nothing was done to do this. Like actively they did not do anything to trap it. Already the pitcher had some smell and everything. The insect was attracted. It fell into the pitcher and then it was trapped there. Eventually it would be digested there. So in this way nutrient is got by them. So the link is there in your PDF file. Please try to watch it at your own. Please try to watch this video at your own. You will understand different types of parasitic plants which are there. Now let me go back to the class that we're doing. So yes. So this is one Nepenthes khasiana is one of the parasitic plants of India. It is found in northeastern India, but आप देखेंगे कि throughout the country now it's available because of the this garden thing. Then pinguicula, this is another type of parasitic plant that we have. uh, Look at it, how beautiful it is. And because of this, now people want these kind of things in their garden. So now this plant, it emits a faintly fungal scent. Because of that, insects get attracted to it, and it has glands. This may insects get stuck on the surface. They're not able to go out. But this pinguicula is absent in India. But this is another type of plants that people have in their gardens. Okay, now we have Drosera. Drosera ka bhi I have a video here. I'll not play that video because playing it in an online class is becoming a bit difficult. But आप अगर ध्यान से देखेंगे if you look at this image carefully, they have जैसे कोरोना वायरस पे एक स्पाइक टाइप की चीज है ना, they have something like that here. And if you'll play this video, you'll understand how that plays a role in trapping. First, the insect gets stuck to it. Like after this class, watch the video here, you'll understand. First, the insect gets stuck there, then all these parts, this colored glands, they will bend to trap the insect and produce liquid things to digest the insect. So Drosera is another type of insectivorous plants that we have. Then Utricularia. This is the largest genus of carnivorous plant that one can find with more than 200 species. They would prey on worms, frogs, mosquitoes, curds, flies, etc. They have little bladders in these plants, which acts as carnivorous traps or the suction trap. So this is Utricularia is also a type of carnivorous plants that you must be aware of. You must have slight idea. Now, conservation status देखोगे तो endangered species of carnivorous plants that we have in India include Drosera peltata, Eldrovenda vesiculosa, and Nepenthes khasiana. So Indian pitcher plant is also endangered. What are the main threats faced when people go around hilly areas and find this plant? They generally take it out for gardening purpose. They say कि हम इसे घर में ले जाके लगाएंगे. That is a major threat they are facing. Then medicinal properties also are becoming a reason because of which people are removing it. Habitat destruction, population, and all have always remained a cause of concern. Have always remained a problem. Now come to some other species of plants. These are special ones which you should generally know. One is Neelkurinji. Neelkurinji is a monocarpic plant. So I'll not spend a lot of time in explaining this. मैं जल्दी जल्दी जाता हूं, but I'll keep explaining you the key idea behind this. See, Neelkurinji is the flower, is the shrub behind by which the name this comes. Nilgiri Hills has been named after Neelkurinji. This is a monocarpic plant. What is meant by monocarpic plants? These are those plants which flower only once in their lifetime. They will flower only once in their lifetime. What does that mean? ये बड़े होंगे, mature होंगे. Once they will flower, that is, once they will reproduce, and then they'll dry. तो जब ये flower हुए थे, तब seeds गिरे होंगे land पे, new plants would come up. Then after some time they will become mature, and then they will flower together, and then they'll die. At the time of flowering, they would have left some seeds. Next generation of plants would come. So in case of Neelkurinji, they flower every 12 years. For example, they had flowered in 2018. So this is the like 1838. You would see every 12 years they were flowering. So 2018 they had flowered again. These are this is an example of monocarpic plant, a plant that flowers only once in the whole lifetime. Neelkurinji. Fine, easy to understand. कोई बड़ा challenge नहीं है. Then we also have like in fact bamboo is another monocarpic plant. Bamboo also flowers only once in its lifetime. Okay, now living root bridge, the Jing Qiang Jri. Look at this. This is a bridge over a stream of water. But this bridge is not made up of any dead thing. These are living roots of the trees. They have been made to grow in such a manner that they will cross the stream. Eventually, they'll form a structure which will act like bridge. This is living root bridge, which are very famous in Meghalaya. Okay, now let's look at some more details about this living root bridge. So this bridge in India is formed of Indian rubber tree or Ficus elastic. This rubber tree's roots have those properties. For example, what we do is, जब उसका root grow हो रहा होगा, we will put them in a hollow, let's say bamboo. ये bamboo है, इसमें we will insert the root. So now root will keep growing in this direction. It will keep getting nutrients from this bamboo thing, and it will keep growing in this direction. So we provide, like, they do not form bridge naturally at their own. We provide them certain support that they can grow in particular direction and form this bridge. Fine, you're able to understand. So which tree is there? It is the Indian rubber tree. In which place is it found? In Meghalaya. Like Khasi and Jaintia people have been developing this living bridge for many centuries now. They span distances even up to 250. Am I audible, guys? I'm sorry. Am I audible? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So where was I? I was saying that even up to 250 feet distance pe, these kind of bridges are there which are of 250 feet length. Now, recently it was in news because a research team from Germany had conducted a study and was planning whether this could be used as part of modern architecture. In offices, can we use these trees? Can we grow these trees and create bridges which will be natural, which will be carbon sink, which will be green, which will repair itself? See, root bridge जब damage होता है, root जब damage होता है, it repairs itself, no? It repairs itself. So Meghalaya is known for it. It has become an important tourist attraction, and we must have slight idea about this root bridge. So पिछले एक साल में न्यूज में नहीं था, but still root bridge कभी भी पूछा जा सकता है. It has already been asked in exam once. I think 7-8 years back it was asked in exam once, so you should know about it. Now there are some other plant species which were in news recently. Now very factual things we are coming to. Other plant species which were in news in last 1 year, please study, like go through them, understand them once, read them once or twice, so that if it gets asked in the examination, you would not be like कि कोई idea नहीं है. I've tried to do a lot of research to identify all the plant species which have been in news recently. There would be some more. I will keep adding them. I'll keep giving you updates. You do not have to worry about going through 100 things. आपको जो नोट्स में मिल रहा है अच्छे से पढ़िए, रिवाइज करिए. I'll make sure that if there are more things, I'll add it in your notes. Coming back to this, Sadabahar. Sadabahar was in news in 2021, April 2021. It's a variety of mango that can grow throughout the year and has been developed by farmers in Kota. So this farmer, Sri Kishan Suman, he has developed this innovative mango variety that grows round the year. Sadabahar. इतना जानना. Sadabahar is a mango variety. Sadabahar, हमेशा बाहर रहेगी. That is, throughout the year, the mangoes would be produced. Then, sea buckthorn. sea buckthorn. This is the fruits. These are the fruits of sea buckthorn. So what is sea buckthorn? It's a shrub which produces berries. This kind of berries, these orange colored berries. They are generally found in upper tree line of Himalayan region. Lahaul, Spiti, Kinnaur. These are the places where this sea buckthorn is found. It has a number of medicinal properties. It has ecological advantages. It has economic advantages, and it also produces waste for animals to feed on. Now, this also has a lot of folk medicine benefits. For example, stomach pain या heart or skin problems के लिए sea buckthorn berries have been useful. In fact, the modern scientific research have also understood that yes, there are properties in the fruits, in the leaves there, which may be beneficial. Okay, now why was it in news recently? Because it was in news because Himachal Pradesh government has decided that they will plant sea buckthorn in cold desert area of Himachal Pradesh, in cold desert area where no other vegetation grows or very less of other vegetation grows. There they'll be planting sea buckthorn. This was recommended by central government, and they had said that you can even use CAMPA funds, compensatory afforestation fund. In the next class, in the very next class, we're talking about Indian efforts to protect biodiversity. There we will study CAMPA in more details. But ऐसे समझो CAMPA funds have been created whenever an industry do some deforestation, so they add money in CAMPA fund to go for compensatory afforestation. So central government had been recommending that you can do this using CAMPA fund, and based on that, Himachal Pradesh CM has announced that 250 hectare of land in the state, on 250 hectare of land in the state, sea buckthorn would be grown. It is said that if this is done in cold desert area, then because it will be hindrance in the flow of, in the movement of glacier, it can also slow down the movement of glacier and perhaps melting of glacier also. Sea buckthorn, a shrub from the Himalayan region, was in news because Himachal Pradesh government is trying to cultivate it in the 250 hectare region. Now, Meduca diplostemum or Meduca diplostemum, a tree species which was long believed to be extinct. It was last spotted in 1835, has been found in Western Ghats. It has been discovered in a sacred grove in Kollam district of Western Ghats. Madhuka diplostemum. पिछले 1835 years से we had not recorded it, but it was there in one of the sacred groves. It was there protected in one of the sacred groves and has been found again. So important one, you may be asked in 2016, you were asked a question about a particular banana. Now they may ask you a question ki Madhuca diplostemon, a tree that was last spotted in 1835, has been found recently in. So you should know that it was found in Sacred Grove in Kollam district of Kollam district in Western Ghats. The Sacred Grove is Konail Airvilli Shiva Temple, Paravu. Okay, तो बिकॉज इतने दिनों बाद मिला है तो पॉपुलेशन तो बहुत कम होगी, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन भी बहुत कम होगा. इट इज क्रिटिकली endangered. Before this it was considered extinct, but now it is critically endangered. Okay, now another species that is there is Sonaratiye alba. Sonaratiye alba, it's a mangrove species and it produces a fruit called mangrove apple. Why was it in news? Because Maharashtra government has become the first state in India to declare state mangrove tree. Remember, it is not the state tree of Maharashtra. Different states declare their own tree. Okay, this is our state tree. This is not the state tree. This is a state mangrove tree. So Sonaratiye alba is the state mangrove tree of Maharashtra now, and Maharashtra is the first state to declare a state mangrove tree. So only the coastal states can declare mangrove trees as state mangrove trees. Why would this be done? Just for awareness purpose. People should know कि ये हमारे state का symbol है. They will respect it. They will value it. Because mangroves are very important. We have already spoken about why mangroves are crucial, why mangroves are important. Okay, then Pinanga andamanensis. Pinanga andamanensis is a critically endangered palm which is endemic to South Island of Andaman, South Andaman Island. It's a critically endangered palm which is endemic to South Andaman Island. Recently, there are steps being taken to वो South Andaman Island से उसे rest of the country में distribute करने के लिए steps are being taken. I have some time, no? So, does Karan sir have a class today? It's Sunday. अच्छा वहां हो जाएगी. Okay, okay, great. I'm sorry, guys. So I was saying that this Pinanga andamanensis is a critically endangered plant that is naturally found only in the South Andaman Island. Now, there are only 600 specimens of this naturally occurring palm is there, and they are confined in the evergreen forest pocket of Mount Harriet National Park. एंड दस एक ही रीजन में है. कुछ भी होता है, अर्थक्वेक आता है, फ्लड आता है, कोई बीमारी फैलती है, they may all die and they may all become extinct. So it is important that we distribute them in other parts of the country, and therefore steps have been taken. In 1994, Jawaharlal Nehru Tropical Botanical Garden and Research Institute had introduced this palm at the Field Gene Bank in Palode, but this was destroyed in 2012 as this pith of the trunk of this palm's trunk जो होता है, trunk का जो pith है, it is sweet. The palm's trunk's pith will be this part of the trunk. It is sweet, and thus elephants destroyed it to eat that. So recently there were other steps taken to introduce this palm again. In 2004, more seedlings were introduced at Palode. In 2020, these seedlings have started flowering. Okay, and that is why it was in news. So, critically endangered plant from South Andaman Island have been introduced in the mainland. Then there are some hybrid wheat variety which were in news. We could have covered it in agriculture, but यहाँ पे cover कर लेते हैं. MACS 6478. This has been developed by Agarkar Research Institute, which is located in Pune. Agarkar Research Institute is a research institute under Department of Science and Technology. उन्होंने ये MACS 6478 wheat variety develop किया है. In October, it was in news because the farmers who had chosen this wheat variety, their production had almost doubled. So they were able to get into entrepreneurial activity. पहले वो subsistence करते थे बस. Therefore, it was in news. So MACS question क्या आएगा? MACS 2478 is a variety of. You should be able to answer that it's a variety of wheat. In fact, it is newly developed form of, or it's a hybrid form of a Stevum wheat or the bread wheat. This wheat, bread wheat or Triticum aestivum, is the most common variety of wheat in the world. 90% of all the wheat produced in the world is of this type, is this particular wheat. इसी का एक hybrid variety create किया गया है, which is providing higher yield, which is also giving better quality of flour, leading to smoother chapatis, more tastier chapatis. There are some other. So this was wheat variety. Now we are talking about paddy variety. Ranit sub 1, Swarna sub 1, Bahadur sub 1. So Assam, you know, Assam is a very flood prone state. Brahmaputra हर साल वहां पे flood create करता है. And generally the agriculture suffers because of this. So for many decades now, there have been attempts to develop flood resistant crops there. One such crop is Swarna sub 1. Here sub means submergence. कि जब ये submerge भी हो जाएगा, it will be able to survive. So it was Swarna sub 1 is being used by farmers in flood prone areas since 2019. It was developed by ACAR in 2008. In 2018, Swarna Sabban along with Ranjit Sabban were reintroduced to make more farmers adopt this particular resistant varieties. In 2020, all these were in news because farmers who had chosen these, even after floods, their crop had survived and they were able to do well. That is why it was in news. But exam में question क्या आएगा? Ranit Sabban, Swarna Sabban, Bahadur Sabban. These are varieties of. Okay, I think I've made a mistake here. This is not 2019. This should be 1990s. I'll correct it. This is not 2019. It was introduced much earlier. The Swarna Sabban was introduced much earlier. Then in 2018, Swarna Sabban along with Ranjit Sabban was reintroduced. People were made aware of कि भाई take these new types of seeds. They will ensure that even during floods you will be able to survive. Then in October 2020, 17 different biofortified varieties of 8 crops were launched by Prime Minister Modi. Biofortified, you understand we in science and technology we have covered fortification. Have we covered fortification in science and technology in health sector? Okay, we have covered. So we have covered fortification. We have also covered biofortification. Biofortification, I had said that by genetic modification or by another mechanism, naturally, rather in fortification, what do? We take a food and then add extra nutrients into it, micronutrients into it. In biofortification, we modify that crop that naturally it produces more nutrients. So, of 8 different crops, 17 biofortified varieties were released recently. Usme rice ke liye we had CR Dhan. It's a biofortified rice which has higher zinc content. ऐसे ही wheat के लिए we have to these 4 varieties H11633, HG3298, DBW303 and DDW48 which have been biofortified for protein, zinc and iron. Maize के लिए we had maize hybrid 123 which have been biofortified for lysine and tryptophan. ऐसे ही millet है, CCLMV variety of small millet है, Pusa mustard है, Girnar 4 and Girnar 5 groundnut varieties हैं, Shri Nilima and DA340 yam varieties है. Yam, do you understand what is yam? Yam, do you all understand what yam is? Yam को हिंदी क्या होता है yam का? कोई बताएगा मुझे? वो अरबी जैसा दिखने वाला होता है yam. Anyone? What is yam in Hindi? अच्छा सबको पता है yam क्या होता है? Let me just give me 1 second. I think शकरकंदी बोलते हैं yam को. Sorry? हाँ सर. हाँ रतालू या शकरकंदी. Yes. That is yam. तो yam का भी variety था Shri Nilima and DA340. So these are all biofortified varieties of different crops which were released. तो ऐसे रिलीज होते रहते हैं बट इस बार प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने रिलीज किया है तो थोड़ा सा आपको पता होना चाहिए. यू मे बी आस्क्ड अ क्वेश्चन कि गिरनार 4 and गिरनार 5 are hybrid varieties of or biofortified varieties of. You should know that these are biofortified varieties of groundnut क्योंकि ये स्पेशली अलग से भी पढ़ रहे हैं. तो इंटरनेशनल क्रॉप रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट फॉर सेमी एरिड areas tropics ICRISAT have released Girnar 4 and Girnar 5, 2 varieties of groundnuts which are high in oleic acid and low in cholesterol. Which are high in oleic acid and low in cholesterol. Let's understand this. These 2 varieties can withstand moisture stress. They can also prevent development of aflatoxin. Aflatoxin is a harmful substance which is produced in groundnuts. So generally, so far, we had to depend, or we were mostly importing this aflatoxin-free groundnuts from USA, China, Australia, etc. But now we will have our own variety, our own groundnut which is aflatoxin free. Their yield is also higher. They take less time to get matured and they are high in oleic acid but low in bad cholesterol. So ये सारी डिटेल्स आने के चांसेस कम है. सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है, यू नो दैट गिरनार 4 and गिरनार 5 आर टाइप्स ऑफ ग्राउंड नट्स. दिस इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट. Okay, then hing. Hing. Yesterday when I was completing these notes, I remembered that movie Queen, where who's this girl? I forgot her name. Rani. The character's name was Rani. The actress is Kangna Ranaut. Kangna Ranaut had called her parents from some country in Europe, asking hing को English में क्या बोलते हैं, because she wanted to make golgappas. Right? If you have watched this movie Queen, which was released in 2014, it is called Asafoetida. जो भी pronunciation है, please एक बार correct कर लीजिएगा if I'm wrong. Hing was in news recently because for the first time, India is trying to cultivate our own hing. Now, hing is an important component of kitchen all over the country. Be it South India or North India, hing is something that is very common in our kitchens. Whenever you will make something special, वो हींग का थोड़ा सा एक चुटकी डाल देते हैं. But we do not produce hing. All our hing come from Afghanistan, mostly from Afghanistan. 90% of our hing comes from Afghanistan. Some of it also comes from Iran and a few Central Asian countries. We import around 1,200 tons of raw hing worth 600 crore rupees. But processing happens in India. We import raw hing and uska processing, packaging, all those things would happen in India only. For the first time, in Lahaul Spiti district of Himachal Pradesh, at an altitude of around 11,000 feet above sea level, we are trying to cultivate our own hing. Institute of Himalayan Bioresource Technology has chosen 7 farmers and उनको help कर रहे हैं for cultivation of this hing. So hing, the spice is extracted from stem and tap root of this plant. So if it is successful, if we are able to grow this, we may have less dependency on other countries for hing production. So इस वजह से hing was in news. Please know certain things about it, that it's not produced in India. Those kind of things you should be aware of. Then Arka Subha, marigold, gende ka phool. You know gende ka phool. So there are various species of marigold found in India only. There would be various species of marigold. A new variety of marigold, Arka Subha, has been developed by Indian Institute of Horticulture Research. It was in news in February 2021. Now, this new variety, what is special about this new variety? This new variety is rich in carotene. Generally, the marigold contains maximum 1.4% of carotene, but this has 2.8% of carotene. And carotene is in demand a lot in pharmaceutical industry. We right now depend on imports of carotene. So this new variety, Arka Shubha of marigold, can actually reduce our dependency. Other than that, वो like beautification purpose के लिए you can keep using this variety of marigold, but carotene का use है, that is one major advantage. Then we have Netra Vaman, a new variety of dwarf cashew, kaju. The plant is dwarf here. Kaju is not dwarf. Plant, the tree of cashew will be dwarf, will be small. So a new variety of dwarf cashew, Netravaman, has been developed has been released by Director of Cashew Research under ICAR at Puttur in Dakshini Kannad district. Now you would say, sir, क्यों चाहिए छोटा variety of kaju? छोटा variety of tree of kaju. Kaju तो बड़े होंगे चलेगा. Tree of kaju, dwarf, छोटा. So see, when the kaju tree, generally the kaju plantation people, they keep on pruning the tree from the top, so that it doesn't become very tall. Because if it becomes very tall, then spraying your insecticides or your pesticides or other things becomes difficult. Harvesting becomes difficult, and the overall plantation suffers. क्योंकि वो फिर किसी भी तरफ grow कर रहे होंगे, and when they go a lot of trees within the same plantation, they want that each tree should be compact and should produce enough. So In the current cashew varieties that we have, the farmers, the cultivators have to keep pruning the trees. But now scientists have developed a new variety of kaju tree that doesn't grow very much. So you would see that if we leave cashew variety unhindered, it can go up to 30, 40 feet. But farmers keep it at 15 feet by pruning them. Netravaman naturally also will grow to around 8 feet. If we do not touch it, if we do not affect it, it will grow to only 8 feet. So it reduces that tension. So there are certain advantages here कि spraying and harvesting equal हो जाएगा. वो spraying and harvesting would be easier. Plus they can grow in less sunshine. This is another advantage of Netra Vaman. It can grow in less sunshine, and thus coconut plantation के बीच में नीचे वाले area में it could be cultivated. Even in less sunshine, it will be able to survive. Now there are some other plant species. For example, red sanders is one. Red sanders is not chandan. Sandalwood is something else. Red sanders was an endangered species. Before we get into whether it was endangered and all, red sanders is a produces beautiful red wood, which is in demand a lot. For woodcraft, it is in demand. For medicinal purposes and all, also it is in demand. And thus it was endangered. But its situation improved, and in 2018 it was moved to near threatened category. Later in 2019, Government of India's DGFT has decided to allow export of red sander if it is cultivated in non-forest. If it is the cultivated one. अगर मैं अपने फील्ड में रेड सैंडर ग्रो कर रहा हूं तो उसका एक्सपोर्ट इज अलाउड. अदरवाइज एक्सपोर्ट इज बैंड. It's a near threatened species. It used to be endangered. Its export is banned, but here it is allowed. Now, what is red sander? Red sander or red sandalwood or Rakt Chandan or Saundarwood is a species endemic to southeastern Ghat mountain ranges of southern India. देखो, southeastern Ghat mountain ranges. It is only found in Seshachalam forest of Andhra Pradesh. It is valued for its red color. It is not aromatic. It is not like sandalwood. जो sandalwood होता है, Indian sandalwood, which is vulnerable, it's aromatic. Red sandals is not aromatic. It is used in traditional medicine and it is used in woodcraft and is in demand a lot in countries like China, Japan, etc. Therefore, कई बार illegally भी export होता है. So far, Government of India has allowed its export if it is grown in cultivated area, if it's not from forest. Okay, so this was all about plants that I wanted to cover. Fauna mein one thing that we had missed was Brookesia nana, world's smallest reptile which has been discovered. Look at this reptile. This is a girgit. You understand what girgit is? It's called chameleon, जो रंग बदलने वाला एक reptile होता है. So it has been discovered in the island country of Madagascar and is considered the smallest adult reptile. आपके look at its size. Your fingernail के बराबर आ रहा है. तो the male has length of 1.3 centimeter, 13.5 millimeter or 1.3 centimeter. A scale that we use in schools is of 15 centimeter. उसमें 1.3 centimeter, how small this reptile is. From snout to vent, if you do not include the tail length. अगर tail length में include कर दोगे तो it is 2 centimeter, 2.1 centimeter. So before Brookesia nana, the Brookesia micra was thought to be the smallest reptile, but now Brookesia nana is the smallest reptile. Okay, but why, like Brookesia micra is also in Madagascar, Brookesia nana is also in Madagascar. So why do Madagascar have so many small reptiles? So it is said that it may be because of island effect. Now, what is island effect? Island effect is this. Suppose हम 4-5 लोगों को एक छोटे से आइलैंड पे ले जाके डाल दिया, स्मॉल आइलैंड, नॉट अ वेरी लार्ज वन, स्मॉल आइलैंड, and we keep evolving there for centuries. Eventually, we will evolve to be smaller in size so that we consume less food. Because on that small island, less resources are available. So on Madagascar Island, there are lots of islands. On smaller islands, over the years, over the period of evolution, living organisms have tended to get smaller to survive on the resources which are available there. But this is the general island effect. But scientists say that in this case, in case of Burkesia nana, this may not be the case because the island on which it is found, it is has evergreen forest and it is well connected with across northern Madagascar. That is, it is well connected with other islands. But some other scientists say that it may be well connected now, but during the period of evolution, during the last lakhs of years, it may not have been well connected, and due to this, a number of very small reptiles have been found there. Okay, so this was it for plant biodiversity. Let me see if there are any raised hands, if there are any doubts. Bhavani is asking, sir, what will happen if trees start eating humans? Bhavani, he's asking a question, what will happen if trees start eating humans? तो सबसे पहले उनसे बोलूंगा तुम्हें खाएं, तुमने ही सोचा था ऐसा. वैष्णवी इज आस्किंग, सर तो वो फार्मर्स यूज प्रोटेक्ट कर सकते हैं क्या अंडर प्लान? हाँ, दे कैन डू दैट. वैष्णवी. Ritu is asking, sir, forest cover and RFA are different. So if two states under RFA is asked, that would be different from forest cover. Yes, beta. Reserve forest area or declared forest is different from forest cover, and therefore, if you are asked which of the following state has the highest reserve forest, तो हमें reserve forest देखना पड़ेगा कि state में कितना. Forest cover is different from reserve forest. Yes, you're right. Okay, so guys, I think that was it. I'll see you tomorrow. कल हमें क्या पढ़ना है? बुद्धिज्म शुरू करना है शायद हिस्ट्री में. Next, like for those of you who are watching it on YouTube, we will upload the next video on environment biodiversity on Saturday, Sunday. For current affairs students, tomorrow's class is on history, Buddhism discuss करते हैं. Same time, 9:30 to 11:30. Okay, चलिए. Thank you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.